You might not think about it, but now is actually an amazing time to be a gamer. Yes, the industry is definitely laden with problems. The whole business side of things is a nightmare, and the fact that talented workers are being taken advantage of left, right, and center is nothing short of awful, but the games themselves are pretty darn great. Sure, there are plenty of awful, broken releases, but you don't need to look far to find incredible titles to sink your time into. That said, it's obvious that the gaming industry has a few current trends that are odd, to say the least. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 confusing trends the gaming industry is convinced you like. Number 10. Customizable genitals. Customizing a character down to every minute detail is a joy that many gamers swear by. For some, getting stuck into a new title and seeing the breadth of customization options is like Christmas morning, and I'm definitely one of those people. That said, even I'm getting to a point where while I'll spend 2 hours customizing my protagonist, there are some things that feel like they're going a little too far. Some notable games, the best examples being Cyberpunk 2077 and Baldur's Gate 3, have made waves for allowing players to customize their genitals. The games let you strip those pants off, get a good look at what you got going on, and then choose from a selection of varying sizes, designs, and aesthetic options. There are naturally boundless benefits to advanced RPG character customization, especially in matters of inclusion, identity, and diversity. But looking beneath your pants in the game is usually not even an option, so why the industry is determined to let you go into detail on what's going on down there seems a little bit strange. I mean, are there really passionate cries for penis sliders? I mean, if it's an option the game gives, you may as well take a look, right? Also, just saying that sentence was a career highlight. Number 9, Marvel humor. This one is not going to be a hard sell to you, I'm pretty sure, as pretty much communal opinion on how Marvel humor was kind of fun and different and now is downright cringy is almost universally agreed upon. It can be a little tough to pin down the definition of Marvel humor, but you definitely know when you know. For example, when a serious character moment is broken up by a pop culture reference or self-aware quip undercutting the drama. Yep, that's Marvel humor. It's a comedy style that has a stranglehold on most big modern movie releases, and of course, it's made its way firmly into gaming. One clear example is 2023's favorite punching bag Forspoken, in which the main character said, "I just move shit with my mind." It's a bummer, I don't even like repeating it. The game's reliance on this specific humor style led it to be dragged online by the gaming community, and it's hardly the only one to be doing it. Quips, banter, sarcasm, and dramatic moments that are ruined by unfunny jokes, it's all more likely to make you roll your eyes than chuckle, but that won't stop companies from insisting their games be full of it. Number 8, sponsored content. The gaming community is under no delusion that the industry is a business. Yes, games are fun and artistry is definitely important, and many games achieve both of those things, but at the end of the day, games are designed for making money, so then with the more money they can make more games and capitalism. As such, plenty of gamers are willing to accept it when developers sneak sponsored content into their products to make some extra cash, so long as it's not too distracting. Of course, there are plenty of companies who throw that not too distracting philosophy by the wayside and integrate sponsored content into their games, assuming that the reaction will be, "Wow, I know that brand, how exciting. Monster energy drinks, fantastic." Actually, that Death Stranding one was pretty good. But the reaction is often, "Why am I being advertised to right now?" A particularly cringeworthy example of this is the appearance of Jake from State Farm in multiple 2K NBA games. To be clear, if you get genuinely excited when meeting a walking advertisement in a game that you've already paid for, well, power to you, but you might be in the minority. If publishers need to put sponsored content or ads in their game because they're making tons of money from it, then so be it, but you can't expect consumers to be happy about it. Number 7, heavy-handed Easter eggs. Easter eggs are easily one of the tastiest treats you can unwrap in entertainment. Spotting a cheeky little reference or a hidden secret when watching a movie, reading a book, or playing a game can give you a major rush. Naturally, the gaming industry cottoned on to the fact that players loved these little treats many years ago, so they started sneaking them in more and more and more. Now they shove them so far down your throat they start to taste sickly. It feels like any franchise game now has a quota of self-referential secrets that it needs to sneak in to please fans. But these immersion-breaking in-jokes are often so telegraphed that you can't miss them. If they were any less subtle, you'd see a big sign pointing to them saying, "Look, an Easter egg. Isn't that fun?" The fun of an Easter egg was that it's about the finding of the Easter egg, not going to a store and buying the Easter egg. So when the game really bluntly hammers you over the head with it and points it out to you, it's sort of just awkward for everybody involved. Number 6, tacked on stealth sections. Stealth is an undoubtedly phenomenal gaming mechanic. Hell, some of the best games of all time center themselves entirely around it. So why is it that running into a non-optional stealth section nowadays is likely to have you thinking, "Oh no, please, anything but this"? When a stealth segment is done right, it can break up the action in a really interesting way and add some much appreciated tension. However, when it's not handled to perfection, it can bring a game's pacing to a grinding halt and leave players pushing to get through it so they can start the fun again. Everyone loves Mary Jane, but nobody was clamoring to slowly sneak around as her when they wanted to be web-slinging as Spider-Man. The frustrating thing is that stealth is tacked on to what feels like every major release now, even in AA and indie games. It's like the industry is convinced you need stealth segments. Like, why does the mysterious teen drama Life is Strange need stealth? God, remember that? That was the worst. And why does the puzzle-based translation simulator Chants of Sanaa need stealth? Why does any game that's not focused on stealth need stealth? The answer is probably, should have no stealth. Number 5, pointless remasters. Remastering games makes complete sense from a business and preservation perspective. A solid remaster can keep an older game from being lost to the annals of time, and there's no doubt that reselling a game that's already sold well is a no-brainer for making a quick buck. That said, there's been a sudden uptake in remasters lately that have had a bunch of gamers questioning why exactly a remake or remaster needed to come up when the game itself came out less than a decade ago. We're looking directly at you, Last of Us. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, Life is Strange Remastered Collection, and yes, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, not to mention Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, are but a few examples of games that were updated graphically, repackaged, and sold again, despite their initial releases still looking solid to this day. Insomniac's Spider-Man is a particularly egregious example, given the original game was only released 2 years prior. That's just embarrassingly shameless double-dipping. No one, and I mean no one, except for the one of you that will be in the comments telling me you were happy, wanted these games to be remastered. Unless, of course, it's Bloodborne, because everybody wants that, and that would be fine. Number 4, oversaturated colors. Okay, let's make one thing clear before starting this entry. Color is great. Colorful games are fun and vibrancy is always welcome. In fact, gamers can only hope the industry refuses to return to the grayish, muted tones of the edgy mid-2000s era. That said, why does it feel like every game nowadays needs to be full to the brim with oversaturated colors? The irony, of course, being that we have moved from everything being brown, grayish, to everything being very colorful, so everything looking the same has now turned into another era of everything looking the same. Whenever you see a host of new release trailers for games, it starts to become super obvious that a lot of the art designers are taking pages from the very same book. You've got big, cartoony graphics with bright colors everywhere and a major focus seemingly on violets, greens, hot pinks, and the like. It's like the devs are dangling keys in front of your face like, look, it's so shiny and fun. In moderation, that's absolutely true, and personally I do think it's a step up from when everything was brown, grey, and black, but it needs to be said that we'd love to see some color palettes switch it up from time to time. You know, just so we can tell the games apart. Number 3, so many celebrity actors. It's important to note here that hiring respected actors to appear in video games is definitely not a bad thing. A named performer can lend credibility to a game, allow for some excellent performances, and provide work for talented people. What's particularly bizarre about it, though, is that the industry seems to think that the people who want to play those games will be jumping up and down excited about A and B list celebrities being in them, which usually isn't the case. It's become incredibly common for games to put recognizable stars in leading roles, with advertisements for said titles often showcasing these actors front and center. I mean, it deserves to be said that the games industry makes a lot more money than the movies industry. And look, it does work in the movie business as well to have big names, so why not gaming? Well, the difference, of course, is that most consumers care about the game rather than the faces in the game. Cameron Monaghan is a fantastic actor, but people aren't playing Jedi Fallen Order because of him. Anya Chalotra is great, but she couldn't save Unknown 9 Awakening. Everyone loves Giancarlo Esposito, but his presence in Far Cry 6 is barely felt. Seeing celebrities or wonderful performers from different mediums in gaming isn't something that needs to stop, but I think it's important that these companies not think that having a famous face overshadows the game itself, which still needs to be good. Number 2, needlessly bloated runtimes. The perfect runtime of a video game is something that changes from person to person, but the answer is 15 hours. Some players love a shorter experience that tells a succinct story, while others are all about long adventures that span well into the triple digits. Actually, I think it's 30 hours, maybe 50. Thankfully, there are plenty of games you can opt for either of those options. At least there used to be, but if what you're looking for is a compact AAA game, you're probably better off looking elsewhere because, especially if you're an RPG fan, those things are hitting well into the triple digits of numbers. It's become common for modern games to overstay their welcome as they drag out over longer runtimes. Now, on paper, obviously, longer average runtimes sound like a good thing as you get more bang for your buck. However, it's not so great in practice, as a bloated game that drags on for more time than it needs to can be a nightmare for pacing. 2024 saw a perfect example of this through Bloober Team's still very excellent Silent Hill 2 remake, a game with an average runtime of about 16 hours. Now that's not even lengthy by modern day standards, as we were just talking about, but the fact that the original game's runtime was about half that leads to a lot of bloat and pacing issues, which are a shame for a game this fantastic. Number 1, games as a service. Every gaming generation has that one major scourge that leaves gamers tearing their hair out in frustration. Years ago, it was loot boxes, and now, you probably can say it with me, it is live service. Games as a service are nothing new, but the sheer amount of modern releases that desperately attempt to insert themselves into this category is staggering. For those unaware, the concept of live service gaming centers on retaining your player base through updates, new maps, new story arcs, and a bunch of other things in that vein. Rather than building a great game, letting it live, and then die and move on to the next thing with everyone remembering it fondly, it's all about creating a game that players will just never leave, because you constantly update it and you're making it a little bit different on a frequent enough basis that you just retain that player base. It works occasionally. Then there's titles like Concord, Foamstar's Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Marvel's Avengers, and plenty more that show many companies are just happy to shell out lazy products with repetitive game design and a lack of player-focused fun, all in the name of corporate greed. The plight of the modern gamer is knowing that companies think you love this stuff without realizing they're slowly poisoning you against them.